So just to sort of stop all of you from thinking about Niki's sex life, let's talk about the police side of the story. You have a cop who tweets.
I do.
So it's really, really. Have you not seen the cops around when you come to India?
I have, and I think that's one of the interesting things that how much, and perhaps because I live in the US, I see things that surprise me. And so, for instance, when I came in 2 days ago, there was the immigrations official. And you normally think of immigration officials as these really staid, conservative people. But there's this very flamboyant guy with his BlackBerry, and he was typing away. And I was like, oh, I bet he's, texting his girlfriend, or I don't know. It really looked like he would be doing that stuff. And similarly with police officers, they have things to say and tweet about. And, if Bollywood can tweet and politicians can tweet, then so can police officers.
Yeah, sure. I'll follow any police officer who's tweeting for sure. Tell us a little bit about how the book came to be. How long did you take to write it?
The writing of the book didn't take very long, under a year. The book came to be because I think the starting point was Niki, the character. Like I said, I wanted to write about a woman in a position of authority. And also my passion for detective novels and Agatha Christie's and that thing we all grew up with, and I thought it would be kind of an interesting juxtaposition to have a cool, trendy woman and who solves crime, and that's her profession. So that's really how the genesis of the book was, and then the rest sort of just fell in place.
And how did you research investigative procedures? I mean, clearly it's not selling Nestle products or Nokia phones. And also to an audience which is now watching CSI, but you set your book in a place where there isn't that kind of respect for crime scenes or, people who are dead even. So tell us a little bit about Niki Marva at work.
Well, should I read? Would you like me to read from my book first? I think I'll do that. Okay, and you'll get a glimpse of Niki in a very different side of her personality when she's at work. She's totally focused. Just give me a minute. Okay, so I'm going to just pick a scene in the middle that starts with Niki at the crime scene. There's a body that's been found in the middle of the hills in Himachal, and she's gone to the crime site with a young inspector whose name is Inspector Yadav. Across the mountains, Inspector Yadav watched as SP Marva teased the dirt with the toe of her hiking boot, a grave look in her beautiful black eyes. He was a conscientious officer and a shy young man, but despite all his innate reserve and official training, he was having a hard time not staring. It wasn't that he had never worked with a senior woman officer before, or even a rather attractive senior woman officer, but there was something about this particular senior woman officer, who stood tall and robust, her shoulders squared, her brow furrowed, her damp hair pulled into a hasty knot, that affected him in a strange, unfamiliar way. SP Marva, meanwhile, was deep in thought. She'd known it would be serious the moment she'd taken the call. A man spotted at the bottom of the hills, probably dead. And death was always a serious matter, which was why she had dropped everything and arrived at the scene as fast as she could. She just hadn't realized until this very moment exactly how serious things were. She looked up at the cable wires again and turned over the visiting card in her hand. Somehow, a CEO of a prominent organization had fallen down the mountain and into the valley. One could put it down to the kind of freak accident that happened every once in a while, especially when a VIP, the president of a neighboring country, was to arrive. But Niki knew there was no such thing as a freak accident. Who else knows about this? She asked Inspector Yadav. The cable car operator who reported the body, ma'am, his supervisor, and the cable company officials. We shut the cable cars down right away. And no one else noticed anything? Niki asked. No one's reported this man missing? No, ma'am. Odd, Niki thought. But then everything about the situation was odd, not to mention the timing. She took off her gloves and, with a purposeful stride, started back up towards the helicopter. Inspector Yadav fell into step behind her. Yadav, I have to head back to Shimla, Niki said, climbing briskly, so that the inspector had to scramble to keep up with her. But I'll be back as soon as I can. In the meantime, talk to the cable car operator who found the body. Badal ma'am. Yes, talk to him. Find out what you can. And the other operators. I want to know how this man got here. Yes, ma'am. And that key in his wallet, I assume it's from the hotel he was staying at? The Lotus Resort, ma'am, yes. It's up there. Yadav nodded towards an area up in the mountains, hidden from view by the ridge to their west. Call then, Niki said. Confirm that Mr. Mehta was a guest there. Find out how long he was checked in for, who was accompanying him, what his movements were last night. Isn't that kind of
Coming for you.
Sorry. So find out how he was checked in for, who was accompanying him, what his movements were last night. If there's a family member, I need to speak with them. Otherwise, tell the hotel manager about the incident and ask him to keep things quiet until we've had a chance to speak with the family. Yes, ma'am. Niki turned back to take one last glance at the body. It looked sad and forlorn, lying there crushed and alone. And get a couple of men down here, pronto. Consider it done, ma'am.
So this person who was killed was there as part of a work retreat program, and how did you sort of decide on a work retreat theme? I mean, sure, there is enough motivation for everyone on a work retreat to kill everyone else because, you know, they're your colleagues. But other than that, were there any reasons why it was an offside from a publishing company?
So as you've soon realized from reading the back jacket as well, the person who's killed is the boss of the publishing company. And I figured that, you know, at corporate retreats, you know, everybody's wanting to have a good time, and the boss is probably the guy who's getting in the way. so I figured it would be an interesting setting for a crime. You know, I love the hills. I think that, you know, when you're writing fiction, picking the middle is really important. And I wanted to create an experience that took people away from their day-to-day lives into a space where they're which is very peaceful and serene, and at the same time it's like rife with possibilities for all kinds of things to happen, good or bad. So that was kind of the context in which I started.